Okay, so we're going to talk about the new ergonomics on the bike. So it's an all new WR450F for enduro and trail riding. So with the bars have been brought closer to the rider, about 15 mil, so it's a bit more of a more comfortable and more adjustable position. The bike itself overall is a lot thinner. They've done away with the forward mounted rad scoops. They are now to the back of the airbox, and that actually brings the rad scoops in by 50 mil thinner than the 2023 model. As you come to the seat, it's fairly obvious it's thinner, it's flatter, and it's rounded off either side, so that gives it a really nice feel when riding, and a good transition from sitting down to standing up and moving around the bike a lot easier. Okay. As you come to the back, the overall bike is thinner itself, and then we've got a sort of a ramped up tail unit here. You can probably see the shark fins on it, and that's more stronger for picking the bike up and moving it around compared to the old bike. Overall, seat height is down 10 millimeters, and we're running now 300 mil of suspension travel. Okay, just looking at the new chassis, everything's based around lower and centralizing the mass. Okay, so it's a filled chassis for flexibility and rigidity, and it's specific to the WR450F, so it's actually more flexible, more user-friendly than the WR450. So the headstock tube's been lowered, again with the seat height, which is bringing the overall height of the bike down 10 millimeters. Okay, and then the exhaust weight has actually been dropped into the bottom of this shorter muffler, and again the actual header pipe is lower on the bike to actually get the center of mass as low as they can for handling and stability. Okay, so all we're going to do now is just highlight some of the main points on the engine itself. They've been able to take 1.1 kilograms of the engine weight, and we're going to start with the gearbox, 5-speed, a wider ratio than the YZF and the previous WR450F, so we're looking at more usability, more traction off the bottom end, but still got good strong mid-range and top end speed. They've gone from a completely different clutch system, so it's a single disc spring clutch away from the traditional six spring clutch, so better feel as they would suggest. Oil capacity's gone up to 1.2 litres, so quite a substantial increase in oil capacity of 450 mil, and obviously primary drive 1350, and which then is obviously down to the user how they want to do that gearing. Okay, but generally, huge improvements, a lot of lightweight construction with the piston, con rods and crank, and following on from the YZF450. Okay, so all we're going to do is we've taken the seat off and the airbox cover just to show you some of the new parts and how the bike's constructed. So we're going to start from the rear. Obviously with the tyres, come with the Dunlop EN91 Enduro tyre, FIM rated, fantastic tyre, great grip, and then obviously they're on a DID hub with an XL rim, again super high quality. Gearing, steel sprockets front and rear, 1350 external gearing with a high grade DID chain. One of the biggest changes we have is literally a lot of weight saving with the lithium-ion battery rather than the wet cell. The tank's now 7.4 litres in total, and it's been dropped quite low on the bike again for the centre of mass. They've done away with the front-mounted rad scoops from the recent WRs, and now that the airbox intake comes from the rear. So again, narrowing the bike by 50 millimeters in total on the front end on the radiators, and actually works really, really well. You've got a dual purpose mapping switch up here for your so you've got dual map mode, whatever you want to put into it, and a kill switch, and obviously that works with your power tuner. So the whole power tuning app from Yamaha has been adapted, much easier to use, and giving you a lot more options, a lot more user friendly, and also then 2 options for traction control, a high and a low, but you can also turn it off as well. Okay, going forward on the bike, suspension, KYB, Kayaba, 300 mil of travel, so the forks haven't changed a lot, a little bit nicer that we felt with riding it, that nicer feel on the front, and then it's got adjusters now, so you don't have to be using screwdrivers for compression changes, and the rear again a little bit plusher, nicer to ride, a little bit more stable, and also then Dunlop EN91 FIM front enduro, and again very similar braking system on the front to that of the 23 model. So overall on the bike we're about 3.5 kilos lighter, up on power by about 4 or 5 horsepower. But again, what we've found with riding the YZF and the WR450F, it's a much smoother, a lot more linear power, a lot more usable. We're using these for touring, trail riding, enduro competition, and we're really looking forward then to doing a rider review once we get out and do a little bit more riding on the WR450F. So obviously just looking at the new exhaust system on the WR450F for 2024. If you're involved and been looking at the Yamahas over the last couple of years, you'll realise this is a much shorter and deeper exhaust, okay, on the back end. What we find here is they've actually drilled up some of the end of the exhaust. When you start looking internally, they've actually adapted the internal plate, so a little bit more of an opening. So when the bike's de-restricted for riding enduro, this will give it a less of an engine braking and a little bit more overpressure. So we're hoping that this is going to work very well from standard and actually give the bike, again, linear power, a little bit more usability. Okay, so some of the standard features on the bike for 2024. So it comes with a more protective belly pan, heavy duty plastic, coming more around the radiator hoses and higher across the bike, just for more protection. Radiator fan standard, okay, and works pretty good. And we've got the new lightweight rear caliper on the braking system, which is actually working pretty well on any of the riding that we've done so far. Okay, so hopefully you've enjoyed the little overview on the new WR450F. We will have a rider video coming up soon. Get your pre-orders in. Bikes are starting to arrive now in the UK and ready for the customers. So get hold of Crescent at Verwood Yamaha. Get a little order in for the new WR. They'll all be starting to arrive soon. And we'll have our allocation for testing and trying at Rotor Adventures off-road school.